So what we're excited to announce today is our newest release. We over the past couple of weeks, we've released the ability to monetize credential verification. Like Ewan was saying, this allows people to charge for the credentials that they issue within that closed ecosystem that's set up in certs. Until now, the burden of providing good, reliable information in an ecosystem was on the issuers. They had to validate that information and send it out, but there hasn't been a good way to ensure that the verifier who's getting the benefit of that good information is sharing some of that with the issuer, that business model is preserved. This is the certs interface, which is an administrator tool where you can come in and configure your ecosystem. And in this interface, we have the different participants Ewan talked about, and we can assign a verification fee for each of the schemas that we want to be charged in the ecosystem. So the ecosystem administrator can decide who joins the ecosystem, and when they join, you've signed up to that governance framework, which includes the I'm going to pay the fee for credentials, and then the ecosystem administrator can send out the bill later. And as you see on the right is my wallet with the same type of credentials, and here's a bank identity credential with Ewan's fake information. And down at the bottom, we can see that this belongs to that Clarity Partners ecosystem. It explains a little about what ecosystems are, and you can learn more about that ecosystem. And then it explains that this specific credential is ecosystem bound. It can only be used within the ecosystem. So the user's not burdened with details about the payment relationship, but they do understand this specific credential can only be shared with other people in the ecosystem. And then after at the time of the issuance, you can, or when it's time for the ecosystem administrator to produce the report, you can come in and do that billing report, and then you can come in and it downloads as a CSV, a comma separated values file, and you can upload it into a spreadsheet like Excel. I'm using Google here, and you can come in and see each of the verifications that were completed. So you see which, the time it was completed, the schema it was completed, the verification ID you can provide to the verifier, and then they can look up the data in that verification. Who is the issuer, who is the verifier, and what was the cost associated with those credentials. So the verifier fee is what the verifier is told is the cost, and the platform fee is what Doc is the platform provider is going to take as our share. And that'll be negotiated depending on the ecosystem. Now what you'll notice is not here is anything about the holder. The user of the credential, the holder, their information is not provided to anybody except for the verifier. The ecosystem administrator and the issuer don't know who used what credential and at what time. But they do know that the cryptography ensures that the credential can only be used by somebody who's a member of the ecosystem and shows up here. And so the verifier, if they get nervous, am I really getting billed appropriately? They can take this verification ID and then go back through their verification history and look and say, when did that ID happen? And they can see, yes, this is the data I used. And of course, after they've consumed that, they'll purge it from our systems. But it's available for their records to ensure that they got billed appropriately. So in this way, we're trying to ensure that all the information is necessary for the ecosystem administrator to bill the verifiers, and then they can pay the issuers according to their agreements, while also ensuring that the holder's information is not spread around unduly, but kept within that holder verifier relationship where consent was provided.